welcome to our Crazy Life Scotland. My name's Fiona, and in today's craft and chat video I'm going to be playing with this kit which I was recently gifted as part of Beebeecraft's YouTube programme. If you've not seen the unboxing video for that, I will link it for you just now. But this looked like an amazing kit. There's so much going on with it and I just wanted to give it a try. So just to refresh your memory, what you get with it is you get this tiny little goldfish or some kind of fish mould, and they look like they're going to be so cute. You also get some little mushrooms in little test tube type things, and you get pipettes and bamboo sticks. Also you get a packet of beads which are in this gorgeous little storage container to keep them nice and separate, and the colours are amazing. So you get them. You get 6 little goldfish bowls. You get 2 big, 2 medium and 2 small, and that's for your little fish. And you get tweezers and 2 pens which are the fillable kind, so you can put what you want in here. Let's have a play with this. So the first thing that I'm going to want to do is make some little fish, and I'm going to do this using my UV resin. So I'm using ready coloured UV resin. I've got red, I've got the diamond dust glitter resins in orange, silver, gold, I can't remember what else, but you'll see them when I use them anyway. I thought it would be easier just to use the ready coloured stuff. And I am just going to start now. So I'm going in with the orange first and just making sure that that gets into all of the little nooks and crannies of the mould. I'm going to use my little pokey tool here to do that, just to make sure that it's all filled in. Then I'm going in with the red. This one's more translucent, it's not a glittery UV resin, so I thought I would see what the difference was once it was actually in the little goldfish bowl. So I'm doing exactly the same with the red, just making sure it's all filled up and that it gets into all the nooks and crannies. There's a few little bubbles there in the red one, so I'm just using my long neck lighter to pop that. Going in with the gold now. All the little fish in this mould are different sizes. And now the silver. And then the white. Another quick bubble pop. And then I pop it under the UV lamp to cure. While they're curing, I turn my attention to the little goldfish bowls and the little mushrooms that are there, and I think that the biggest one will get a mushroom because the mushrooms are quite big. And sorry, a lot of this is off camera. I'm basically just having a look to see whether that would fit. I decide to try out a different one and see if that would look any better. I decide I'm happy with that one, so I leave it beside the goldfish bowl so that I remember. I leave the little beads that come with the kit beside it as well, because I think I might put some of them in there too. Then I remember about this little pack of sort of bead rock type things that are actually meant for goldfish bowls that I've got, and I thought, oh, that might be quite a good idea. And I've got this coloured sand as well that came from a sand kit for making like different bottles with different coloured sand. Sand art, that's the word. And I think, oh, some green sand might be quite nice. I'm going to put that in the middle sized one. And for the smallest one, I decide that I'm going to try colouring the resin very slightly with some blue alcohol ink to make blue water. So now that I know what I'm doing in each one, I just get it all tidied up a bit, ready to start working on them. So in the biggest one, I'm going to use my Let's Resin UV resin, and I'm going to pop just a small amount into the goldfish bowl. I don't want too much in at this point, it's going to be done in layers. Then I just move the goldfish bowl around a bit to make sure that the bottom is completely coated with the UV resin. I use my pokey tool just to make sure that it's definitely right at all the edges and to try to get rid of any little bubbles that might be there. And I do try using the lighter as well, but I'm a bit worried about maybe scorching the actual goldfish bowl, so I changed my mind about that. I take my mushroom in my tweezers and just try to gently pop it in where I want it to go. It's very fiddly. Yep, I'm happy with it there, so I'm going to get my UV torch and give that a blast. After about 30 seconds going at it from all sides, I decide to check if that's good enough. I'm not too worried about it being fully cured, I just want it cured enough that the mushroom is going to stay where I want it, because it's going to get fully cured, it's going to get a curing in between all the layers anyway. So as long as it's where I want it, that's fine. I take my tweezers away and yay, it's where I want it, hee. Now that's done, I'm going to start working on the little rocks. So I put in another small thin layer of UV resin and I'm thinking, oh no, it's going all over the mushrooms and the side of the goldfish bowl and everything. I think, how am I going to clean that up? But I couldn't think of any other way to do it, so we just went with it. I took a cotton bud and just gently took off any of the excess from the sides of the goldfish bowl, because I didn't really want it curing there and then having the other layers on top of it. I don't know how I managed to get this so off camera, but again, I'm just sort of rolling the goldfish bowl around a bit to make sure the resin gets into all the little places that I want. Then I decide it might be a good idea to cover the rocks in resin before putting them in, just to minimise the risk of bubbles. So I'm adding some resin into a little container, and then I'm just going to go ahead and put some of the rocks in beside it and give it a little stir around. Once I'm happy that they're all coated in resin, I just go ahead and pour them into the goldfish bowl. It's quite hard to avoid the mushroom, but I go with it, and then I use my pokey tool just to sort of move them about a bit, make sure they get into the bits that I want them to. I do it in stages rather than all at once. I decide that I need a few more, so I'm just going to do that process again. Then I lift it up, give it a wee turn around, have a proper look at it and decide, yep, I think I'm happy with that. So I do a little swappy. I put the goldfish bowl under the UV lamp to cure and I take the goldfish out. Now these fish have had about 3 lots of 90 seconds on the main side, and then I turned them over and gave them a couple of lots of 30 seconds on the back side. Now to unmould them and see how they look. So there's our little orange one, and they're actually really cute. I do like them. It's still a little bit sticky on the other side, so I decided to put it on a little rubber silicone mat so that I can pop them under the UV lamp again. I didn't think about the fact that the small ones would fall in the holes. But it's fine, it's all good. So I pop them back under the UV lamp beside the goldfish bowl just to give them an extra wee bit to make sure they're not sticky anymore. And now Fiona messes up yet again. Yes, another craft video goes wrong. I hadn't pressed record for this part, so I have put the sand in the medium-sized goldfish bowl, the green sand, with some UV resin and cured it. Now I am popping the UV resin into the smaller bowl. By this point I've decided to use the back of a diamond drill tray to store the little fish. That is a little silver fish right there, and it looks like I've maybe put a goldfish in the green sand as well, but don't worry, I'll do another one later. So what I did was, rather than putting the blue ink in the resin directly, I put some on my mat because I didn't want a full drop. So I put some on my mat and then just scooped a bit in at a time. It's much easier to control the amount that goes in that way. So I have a little look at it, actually spotted a bubble, so I pop that and then decide, nope, I need some more colour. So I'm just about to add another touch of the blue alcohol ink. I don't tend to use alcohol ink in UV resin either because I don't normally have good results with it, but this one turned out okay. Spoiler! So let's have a look to see if that's enough. I decide it is. It's not overly blue on the camera, but when you see it in real life it is quite blue, and I don't want it to take away from the fish. So I've just taken the little silver fishy and popped it in there with my tweezers, and I'm using my UV torch again. Just the same as I did with the mushroom, just making sure that it stays where I want it to. You do need to be careful that you don't leave the tweezers there too long. You don't want them to stick to the UV resin, but I managed to get them out, so it's fine, and the fish is where I wanted it. Also off camera, I did make another couple of little goldfish, just exactly the same way as I did before, so it's not an issue that I didn't catch that on camera. Adding some more UV resin into this goldfish bowl, just a little bit. And I didn't bother adding any more blue dye at this point, blue ink. I'm not sure why. But anyway, I go ahead, I decide that I want another goldfish in beside that tiny silver one because it really is very small. But that one decides to float on its back, and I'm like, don't do that, it will look like you've died. So I'm trying to fuss about with it to make sure that it's swimming and not floating. Then I get the UV torch again to make sure that he stands up. Stay where you are, little fishy. There he is, and I get my tweezers away in time this time so they don't cure to the resin. After about a minute, I lift it up, check it, and then decide to put it back under the proper UV lamp for a wee while, just to let it cure properly. I decide to clean up that alcohol ink so that it doesn't go everywhere, and then turn my attention back to the one that I did off camera accidentally with the green sand, and I think that's a little orange fish in there, I'm not sure. So I'm going in with another layer and putting in some more UV resin again, just a tiny little drop. Because that fish was looking awful lonely, so I've decided to put another little goldfish in beside him. Again, using my tweezers, popping it where I want it, and then I'll get my torch out. Oh, stay where you are, stay where you are, these little fish are slippery little suckers. There we go, in with the UV light. I took the tweezers away as soon as I could, and then in with the UV light again. And then I put that under the UV lamp in beside the other one. I still got some of the green sand left that was mixed in resin, and some of the stones that are in the resin as well. And by this point I've realised that I hadn't captured the one with the sand on camera, so I decided to make another one. I mix the little rocks and the sand together in the same tub, just easier that way, and it's going to be a little bit different because the other one was done in layers. And yep, so I'm mixing it all in, make sure that I get all of the resin out, get all the good stuff, you don't want to waste any, and then I'm going to give this a good old stir. And then just going to put this mixture into one of the little jars. I can't remember if that's one of the smallest ones or the medium sized one, but whatever one it is anyway, it gets both mixed together, put in it. I scrape what I can in and then realise there's still quite a lot of sand, but there's not an awful lot of UV resin. So I add just a little bit more UV resin to the cup, give that a stir, and then I add it into my little goldfish bowl. And then add another little bit of resin into the goldfish bowl. And give it a good stir around, make sure that the sand is nice and even all over it, make sure the rocks are as well, and just generally doing some tidying up. Again, going in with a cotton bud just to take any of the side of the goldfish bowl that I don't want curing there. Then I pop that under the UV lamp to cure. I take this cured one out and have a little look at it. It's looking not too bad, but it's a wee bit mucky on the side, so just take a baby wipe and give that give it a wipe. I decide I'm needing another couple of fish, so I make another 2 up just the same way as I did before. Put in the resin, give it a squish about and put it under the lamp to cure. So here we have our most recent one. Oh, it is a medium-sized one that we just made with the sand and the rocks. This is what I wanted the other fish for, so they've cured now. I'm just taking them out, ready to put in the bowl. Adding some more UV resin to the goldfish bowl so that the fish have somewhere to go. Then I place my fish in and cure it with the torch, just the same as I did before. I want the second fish a little bit higher than that one, so I add some more UV resin and then I'm going to place that fish in exactly the same way. Then that gets put under the UV lamp again for a proper cure. While that's curing, I look at the ones that I've already made. You do get a better view of them later on at the end, but yeah, it's turned out quite nice. That's the one that had the mushroom and just some of the little rocks in alongside the fish. I think this is the one that I forgot to record, so that's just the sand and the fish. There is a bit of a bubble there, and I think it's because I was messing about with the fish. I accidentally added a big bubble in it, but there's bubbles underwater anyway, so it's fine. Then we have the tiny one that I put a tiny bit of blue in the water and added the fish to. Again, it's not very easy to see it there, but you do see it properly later on. And finally, the one we just made with the rocks and the sand and the 2 added fish. Yeah, they turn out really cute. Now let's work on the pens. So I have taken the top off one of the pens and taken the little stopper out, and I'm going to add a tiny touch of baby oil to that water that I've got there, just to give it a little bit of a sort of slower motion. I want to make this pen like a shaker, so the intention is to put beads in and add some of the water and baby oil mixture. Just give that a stir about to try and mix it in. But obviously baby oil and water don't mix, because oil and water don't mix. But that's the way I had always been told to do shakers. Maybe that's why my shakers never work out properly. But we go with it anyway. So I decide I take some with the pipette that you get with the kit, and I just pop a little bit in the tube of the pen before adding any beads, because I don't want to add the beads dry and then they get stuck. So I laid some of my beads out that I wanted to put in just on this bit kitchen roll to make sure they didn't roll about, and I'm just using the tweezers to pop them in the tube just now. I just went for a random mix of colour and sizes just to give it a little bit of interest. Now all the beads are in, I'm going to give my water a little mix again, take some more with the pipette and just slowly add some in. I want to add it pretty full, but I don't think I want it all the way up, because I think we need a bit of an air bubble there so that the beads are able to move about. So I think that's enough. I'm just going to put the stopper back in like that, and let's see if they move about. Not really, but I do quite like them. I like the way they're sort of suspended in there. It's a bit like, you know, haven't actually cured them in resin, but yeah, it's not what I thought it was going to do, but it's fine. So now just screw the bottom back on the pen, and that is it, ready to be used. And there it is. It's unusual, it's unique, you won't find another pen like that out there. Now on to the other pen, so I'm just unscrewing it, taking the little cap out of the end, and I decide to do it a little bit different this time. I decide to make it a dry shaker instead, so I've got lots of different sequins and things like that that I want to put inside it and not put any liquid in so that it just moves about. So here's the things that I'm going to use. I'm going to start with this little star sequence. It's gorgeous, lots of different colours, just little star shapes, really nice. So I take a little spoon and I scoop some of the sequins up and try to put it in the jar, and then I think, wait a minute, this spoon's too big for the aperture of the jar. Not the jar, the tube, you know what I mean. So I think, right, okay, what's a better way to do it? And I found this little funnel that came with the sand art kit for putting the sand into the bottles, and I thought, perfect. So I put that in the little tube, and then I spoon my sequins out again, pop it into the funnel, and discover that the stars are too big to actually fit through the hole. Ah! So then I tried to pour it directly from the funnel into the little tube. Still making a mess. Then I think, right, let's just use the tweezers. In hindsight, I should probably just poured it into paper and made a funnel with the paper, but hey ho, we just go with this. So yeah, I painstakingly use the tweezers to put some of the star sequins into the tube. Then I go to the pack of little silver different sequins type thing, little bottles. I don't know what I'm trying to say. It's a pack of little bottles that have got different kinds of glitter and sequins and things in it. And can I get the lid off? Eventually. And I think, right, I should be able to pour this straight in because the necks are about the same sort of size. So I have a look to see if I'm happy with the amount that's in there, and I decide to add just a tiny touch more. And of course I make a mess. It's not like me, is it? So I give it a little shake, make sure that they're sort of mixed together. I don't just want a layer of the stars and then a layer of the silver. I then go back to the beads that came with the kit and decide, hey, I'm going to put some of the beads in there as well. I just want a little mix of everything, different textures, different sizes, so that it can move about quite nicely. It'll be like a little fidget toy. I go back to my little jars, silver jars again, and I think this is little silver balls that I'm putting in there. You can put anything at all that you want in, whatever you've got to hand, different colours, different sizes, different textures. Basically, it's just to give it a bit of interest. Give it another little shake up, see how it's looking. It's about sort of halfway full at that point. Then I find a little bag that I've got of little sort of red sequins. It's little sort of O-shaped little red sequins, and I just use my tweezers to pop some of that in. Again, I make a mess. It's not fun crafting unless you make a mess, is it? Not that it's much fun cleaning it up, but you know what I mean. So I go in for the funnel again. Will it work this time? I don't think so, Fiona. I think those little round sequins are still too big to fit through the hole, but let's find out. Let's give it a dunk and a dab and a little shake about, and let's see if we can get any of these sequins to go through that tiny little hole. No. Let's try pouring it in instead. And I do manage to pour some in without making too much mess, so yay! Let's give it another shake. Please make sure you cover the end before you shake it, or else all that work will be for nothing because it'll end up on your floor. So yep, just giving it a good old shake, try to mix everything together. Let's have a little look at it. Ooh, it's pretty. I do like it, but I think, do we need to add some more? You know what I'm like, I can't stop. But I actually do stop. So I put the little stopper back in, and then I screw the base of the pen back on. And there we have it. So it's another shaker style pen, but this time there's no liquid in it, so it does shake about, and it does make that noise. The noise, that's the technical term. And that is the two different pens there. So same idea, but different. You can put whatever you want in these pens. That is the joy of it. And you can also change them. So if you think, right, okay, I've had enough of this, you can open it up again and completely change it out, put something completely different in. So yeah, that's the pens. So here we have the final product. I think the little goldfish bowls are really cute. Yeah, I got a couple of bubbles I could have done a bit better, but how cute are they? I'm going to make them into cover minders, I think, for my diamond art, but you could do anything you want with them. A lot of people are doing like little miniature dollhouse type things just now. They would be lovely in something like that. Pens, there's that one. That's the one with the water in it. And I did actually get it moving a second ago. But yeah, you could spend ages looking at that. And there's the dry shaker one. And what I like about these is they're great just to sit and look at and play with, but you can change them out as much as you want. You just need to empty it and redo it. So yeah, I think they're great. What an unusual little kit, but really, really good. I'm really happy with that. So I hope you've enjoyed it. If so, please do hit the thumbs up button. Don't forget the link to this kit and to the Beebeecraft website will be in the description of this video, along with my discount code, and the link if you want to take part in the YouTube program will be there as well. Comment down below, let me know what you think of them all. Subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you again to Beebeecraft, and I'll see you in our next one. Thanks everyone, bye!